My name's Ash and this is Dec. We're going to be breaking down a swing for you today on the bars and gloves and loops so you can start teaching your children how to swing on the high bar, working their way all the way up towards giants. So the main important shapes in a swing are the dish and arch shape. So me and Dec are going to break down for you how you can teach this to your gymnasts on the floor without any equipment and make it nice and easy. So the first thing we're going to do is look at lifting their top half up. So Dec, just lift your shoulders up for me. Just hold that. We'll do that for a short period of time. So 1, 2, 3, relax. Now the second half of the dish, Dec's going to lift the bottom half of his feet off the floor. Keep his legs nice and straight. 1, 2, 3, relax. Once they've understood how to lift the top half and the bottom half, we can start to bring them both together, but Dec's going to bend his legs slightly just to make it a little bit easier to start off with. So bring both up, bend your knees, 1, 2, 3, relax. Once the gymnast has got to this stage and they're holding their dish shape with their legs a little bit more bent into a little bit of a tuck, then we can ask them to do both at the same time. So lift shoulders and feet off the floor, holding a dish shape, 1, 2, 3, and relax. Now to make this a little bit more specific, so we're ready to work on the bar, Dec's going to lift his arms up to his ears. So we're thinking about hanging on the bar now. We're going to ask Dec to lift up into a dish and keep his arms by his ears the whole time and keep his legs off the floor. This is going to help when he's ready for the bar to understand where his arms need to be. The second shape we need to look at is an arch, so it's the opposite of the dish. So we're going to ask the gymnast to lay down on their belly. The first thing we're going to do is ask them to keep their feet planted on the floor and lift their shoulders off the floor, looking forwards the whole time, squeezing their back muscles and also their bottom, staying in that nice shape. Then we're going to ask them to come back down again. The second part, we're going to lift the bottom half up, lift their feet off the floor, nice straight legs, pointy toes. So we're squeezing the bottom half of their body and keeping the top half on the floor. Once they've completed both halves, we can ask the gymnast to move their arms up to their ears and keep their arms nice and straight. And now this is relating a little bit more to on the bar when they're going to start their swing. So from here, we're going to ask them to lift up into an arch, keeping his arms straight, looking towards his hands, knees nice and straight, pointed all the way down to his toes. Very nice, and relax. Once the gymnast can do their dish and arch on the floor, it will then be time to find some different exercises to try and challenge them a little bit more in those shapes. So once the gymnast has learned the dish shape on the floor, it's time to then move them up onto the bar. So what we're going to do before they start swinging is introduce them by holding onto the bar, moving their feet out just slightly from the bar, asking the gymnast to round their back like a football, keeping their ears between their arms and looking up at the bar the whole time. Now I should be able to push down on Dec's back and he should be really strong in that position, not moving at all. What we don't want to see is the gymnast relaxing and piking and making that dish shape through their hips. We want to see them pull their chest back into that nice shape, squeezing their ears, ready to do their swing on the bar. So once we've introduced the dish onto the bar, we need to start showing the gymnast how to transition into the arch when it leads under the bar in the swing. So if we get the gymnast in this position where their knees are bent, their chest is in a nice dish holding onto the bar, we can say straighten your legs. They can go into a nice arch shape, so this is the arch that they're going to hang in when they swing underneath the bar. Back to dish, squeeze their chest in nicely, straighten your knees, nice into a nice arch shape once more, and relax there. This is a really good exercise to teach a gymnast how to go from dish to arch without putting much stress on their body or having them hang under the bar. Once the gymnast has practiced with their knees down on the floor, going from dish to arch, we can then get the gymnast to stand up on their feet, holding the dish shape, holding the bar nice and strong. We can ask them to then relax and push their shoulders forwards and hang into an arch shape, and then come back through to stand up into a dish. Now we can ask the gymnast to continue doing this backwards and forwards into their arch, holding their nice shape, and then pulling themselves back into a dish, down into an arch, and back up into a dish. Once they've completed this a few times, they'll then get the understanding of the shapes that we're going to ask them to do when they're swinging underneath the bar. Once we've done enough work on the floor and standing in dish and arch, we can then move the gymnast up onto the rings to start teaching them how to swing in a dish and arch shape. So Dec, if you can hang in your dish shape for me. Gymnasts can hold their nice dish, then hang in the arch shape. Now we can ask them to start to speed this up. So they go from dish into arch, backwards and forwards, performing their fish swings, getting ready for the bar. Once the gymnast has done enough work on the floor and standing with the bar, we can then bring them up onto the high bar to learn how to swing in gloves and loops. So the first thing they're going to do is put their loops over the top of the bar, making sure that there's no twists in loops at all. They're going to put their hands through the loops, twist their hands onto the inside of the loops and grab hold of the bar. We're going to look at bringing the fish swing onto the bar now. So the best way to support the children to do this is to put one hand on their chest and one hand on their leg, so we can push them into a nice dish shape. Then we can swap our hands over, one hand on their back, one hand on their leg, to try and push the shoulders forwards into a nice arch. So we can start to speed this up a little bit. So we go into our fish swings, forwards and backwards, helping the gymnast understand how to swing and hang through dish and arch on the bar. So we're now starting to look at taking them from the fish swing underneath the bar into a proper long hang swing where they go through dish, arch and kick through into a dish again. So the first thing we're going to do to get them to do this is to stand on two blocks with a gap in between the middle, holding a nice dish shape with their chest in. From here, in 2 seconds, Dec's going to jump his feet together and I'm going to show you how to support him to make sure he understands how to keep his body tension tight for his dish on the way down in his swing. So let's get ready. 1, 2, 3, jump and back. 1, 2, 3, jump and back. 1, 2, 3, jump and back. So as you can see, when Dec jumps his legs together, he's holding his shape really nice and tight. So that means when he comes down to arch and kick underneath the bar, he's going to be ready in a nice shape. So in the next stage of the swing, Dec's going to jump his feet together and I'm going to catch him just like I did on the last time, but I'm going to push him forwards so he hangs into an arch underneath the bar, and then we're going to pull him backwards to stand on the blocks again. So starting to get him to understand how to arch, hang and kick underneath the bar, ready for his swing. So just watch me do this. 3, 2, 1, jump. Then arch and back, stand on the block. So one more time, jump, hold, arch and back onto the block. After you've done this multiple times with them, they'll start to understand the transition from dish all the way down to arch, and then we can start to introduce the last part of the kick into the swing. The next stage of the swing we're going to go to is where Dec jumps his feet together. I'm going to hold him in a nice dish. I'm going to let him go through his arch hang underneath the bar, kick forwards, then he's going to come back and stand straight onto the blocks. Every time we catch them in the first dish to make sure he's remembering about his body tension and a position that he needs to be in. So ready? 1, 2, 3, dish and kick, come back, stand on the blocks. That's it. Do one more. 1, 2, 3, dish and kick, come back and stand onto the blocks. Now once we've gone through these actions and stages, they should get quite comfortable and be able to do this repetitively, going forwards and backwards multiple times. So Dec, can you just show us going forwards and backwards? As you can see, he can jump his feet together, kick, come back, stand, and again, jump, kick, come back and stand. So when we're doing it here with the blocks, it takes a lot of the stress off their shoulders, so they get multiple turns in, lots of reps, and practicing their swings over and over again. So now we've done the shaping work on the backswing, we can now start to focus on the front of the swing. So the first thing we need to do is get the gymnast laying on the floor, ask them to lift their legs up so we can get them up into a nice shoulder stand shape. Now we should see a nice rounded back, straight legs, bottom squeezed, toes pointed. What we don't want to happen is them piking, so going loose in their middle. We want to see them push their hips forwards, squeeze their bottom, and we should be able to test the gymnast by pushing down on their hips, seeing how strong they can be in staying in this nice dish shape at the front of the swing. So once you've done some work down on the floor, practicing a nice shoulder stand shape, we can bring this up onto the bar and start to support the gymnast into nice shape at the front of their swing. So I'm going to show you now how to support the front swing. So deck, jump, swing forward, one hand on their back, one on their legs, and again. One more. Good. So by putting your hands on the back of their shoulders and hands on their legs, you can guide them into that nice shape they need at the front with their chest in, holding a really nice dish. Once the gymnast has learned the nice shape, swinging backwards and forwards on the bar, it's then time to get them to start doing the swing by themselves underneath the bar. So Dec's going to demonstrate how he's going to start this. He's going to hang on the bar, show us a nice dish shape, nice arch shape, bring his feet up, kick out, and stand on the 2 blocks behind him. Now the gymnast knows how to generate a swing from underneath the bar and the correct shapes when they're swinging on the bar. It's time to start putting it all together. So Dec's going to hang on the bar for, he's going to start his swing the same, dish, arch, feet up and out, stand on the blocks behind him. This time he's going to hang again, we're going to bring him back down to the bottom. He's going to do the same thing, but instead of joining his legs together now, he's going to keep his legs together, dish, arch, feet up, and we're going to ask Dec to practice the swings, dish at the back, arch at the bottom, kicking through into the dish at the front. So moving on from teaching the gymnast how to swing in gloves and loops, we're going to start bringing them over onto the chalk bar and moving the swings onto the chalk bar over a hard surface. So the first thing we're going to do is ask the gymnast to jump and grab the bar, and from there they're just going to hang nicely, and we're just going to teach them how to drop and land from the bar into a nice shape. This should prepare them how to swing and let go of the bar and dismount and land later on when we go through their swing. So we're going to jump Dec up onto the bar again. First thing we're going to do is ask him to do the fish swings like we practice on gloves and loops. The main thing that we're going to focus on are his wrists shifting over the bar and re-grasping the bar in his dish. He's going to let go and land nicely down onto the floor. Once the gymnast has understood how to do their fish swings and they're re-grasping on top of the bar, we can then move on to the full swing. The full swing, the shapes are exactly the same as on the gloves and loops bar, so try and encourage them to keep the swings as similar to gloves and loops as possible. The main difference is when they're swinging at the back in their dish and their bar is in front of them, they're going to let go of the bar, re-grasp and then swing forwards. So we're going to do 3 swings. On the 3rd swing at the back, when Declan goes to re-grasp, he's going to let go of the bar, dismount and land down onto the hard surface. 1, 2, and 3. Well done. You noticed that I was holding Declan's hips the whole time, so make sure you're grabbing them, making sure they're secure all the way through their swings, all the way till the end. Once they've done this with you a few times, you can let them do this on their own, safely with a mat underneath the bar.